today I'm going to change out the stator on my KLR 650. I'm upgrading from the stock stator to one that's supposed to have 25% more watts of output across the entire RPM range. So what I've done so far is taken off all of the shrouds and plastics, and including the front as well. I'm doing some other work and I'll take another video on that. First thing you want to do when you take the stator cover off is get the chain guard off, and there's 3 bolts. There's one up on the top, one down on the bottom, and then, well, actually 2 down on the bottom, one here as well. So I'm going to get those off, and then I'm going to start removing the bolts around the stator cover. Okay, once you get the sprocket cover off, you're going to see that the stator wires are coming out the side of the cover right in front of the sprocket. So what you're going to have to do is trace this wire and free everything up in the wiring harness and find the connector, and I believe it's going to be this guy right here with the yellow wires. So I'm going to have to cut all these zip ties and everything and free up the wire before I take the cover off. Okay, I've got the stator wire down out of the wiring harness. Just had to cut a bunch of zip ties, and here is the mating connector for it up here in the center of the frame underneath the gas tank. So I'm going to start removing bolts around the stator cover. The other thing going on here is there is another wire here coming out of the stator cover, and I believe it's for some type of position sensor or something like that. So I'm going to leave that one up in the harness because it's kind of wrapped up in there, and actually it's right here, and I don't want to disconnect it unless I absolutely have to. So start removing the bolts from the cover. The other thing I did real quick while I was in here is remove the shift lever so it's not in the way when I pull the cover off, and I actually marked the position of the shift lever, the split portion of the clamp with relation to the shaft there. And if you're worried about your seal, now might be a good time to replace that as well. Okay, I was kind of hoping that I'd be able to do this without draining the oil because I didn't want to do the oil change yet, but it's almost due anyway. I've got about 3,000 miles on this oil, and as soon as I removed the cover, the oil started running down, so I already had a drain pan underneath there, so no harm. I'm going to just go ahead and drain the rest of the oil and do my oil change. But anyway, I've got all the bolts out of the cover now. I did remove this plug. I don't know exactly what that's for, but it goes right in here. And my apologies, I don't have the service manual with me, but anyway, these are the steps that have to be done to take this stator cover off. Okay, so as soon as I have it removed, I will show how the stator is changed out. And I do have the new stator here. So as you can see, it's got the long wire that's going to go up to the connector on the frame, and the only other thing that I'm concerned about is the other set of wires that are coming out of there that are right next to the stator wires. So I don't know if I'm going to have to take that harness out of there or not, but we'll see when it comes off. Okay, I decided just to go ahead and take that other plug out of there because I want to remove the whole cover and get it up on the bench, and it was very easy to get that other 3-prong plug connector out of there, so no problem. It just gets routed down the frame along with the other one. Okay, here's the stator cover off the bike, and you see that this housing is filled, there's oil in there, so you do not have to remove the doohickey adjustment bolt when you take this off. The other thing is the gasket may stay on the cover or it may stay on the case. So I've got a new gasket ready to go, so I'm going to take this one off of the stator housing and replace it, but you want to make sure that you clean everything, the gasket surface on there. And I think I already replaced this one when I changed the doohickey. So here we go again. Anyway, it's got to be cleaned, so we'll do it, replace the gasket. The other thing you want to watch out for is to make sure that you know where the washers are that go on the gears. And in my case, both of the washers stayed on the gears, so that's where I'm going to keep them. And but just make sure you don't lose them. That's the only thing I want to point out. And now I'm ready to take the stator out and replace it with the new one. Okay, I have the gasket off, and now I'm going to remove the screw for the wire guard. Okay, so I've got this set of grommets out of the way here, and I noticed that there is a little bit of sealant on there, so I'm probably going to want to clean that off and put a little bit more on it when I put it back together. The second set of grommets here is for the stator wire, and there's 3 bolts, and one here, and I took all of these off, and that should be it. I should be able to remove the stator. And there it is. So you want to pay attention to putting the wire on the bottom side and the routing of the wire, and make sure that nothing is pinched in your wire clamp. And you can probably use a drop of Loctite on these bolts when you reassemble it. Although, you know, there was a bunch of oil on the bolts that hold the stator in, so just make sure you torque them down good. You don't want those falling off and getting caught up in your flywheel. Just basically clean up the gasket surfaces, replace the gasket, and put everything back together the same way that it came apart, and should be good to go.